Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking about Batman, Night Out. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. Today we're going to be doing a review of Batman, Night Out. This is a hardcover that came out in 2020, written by Chuck Dixon, art by Nolan, and a bunch of other inkers. But before we get into the meat of it, I want to ask you to please subscribe to this channel. I'm doing 3 to 4 videos a week, all about comic book content, lots of reviews, lots of overviews of books that I have purchased, lots of TV show talk with the Marvel stuff that's going on right now. We got WandaVision, then Falcon Winter Soldier, plus a bonus episode from Jim every Saturday, the DC Animated Classics series, so you don't want to miss out on that. So hit subscribe, hit that bell, helps the channel grow, and you won't miss a single thing. Now, let's get into Batman Night Out. What is this book? Well, so I've done an overview video of this before, so if you want to see me flipping through the book and see all the different artists and things like that, check out the link. It'll be in a card or something, and also linked at the end screens, or you can just search it. I think I'm the only one that kind of did it right now. But Batman Night Out. This is a hardcover, came out in 2020. It's written by Chuck Dixon. All the stories are in here by Chuck Dixon. This is from his Detective Comics run, and it retails for $39.99. Now, let's take off the dust jacket so we can handle this book a little bit more efficiently. This is a cover to one of the issues, and then here's the inside. This is the cover to the Final Night issue, which is actually the first issue that is showcased in here. So what is Night Out, Brent? Let's tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Well, it was hard to tell anybody what it is, and it was hard to advertise it because it wasn't really, it's not really a thing. Night Out, I'm gonna put the dust jacket back on because I like, this is what everybody's looking at online if they're looking to buy this book or not. What this book is a collection of short stories and kind of like one-and-done issues from Detective Comics following the Legacy crossover leading into Cataclysm. If you look at the issue numbers of here for Detective Comics, this collects Detective Comics 703 to 718. Detective Comics 702 is part of the Legacy crossover. And even the issues before then are also part of that. And, before then, you're talking about Contagion, which I've read recently. And then even before then, now you're getting into the end state of the Nightfall saga, which we've covered extensively on this channel. I have a playlist. You can go find it, with Troika and Night's End, Prodigal, all that stuff. So that's Chuck Dixon's been mired in crossovers for his Batman run up until this point. And I guess this is where Chuck Dixon really got to let loose, and got to tell some stories on his own, of his, own device. And maybe that's why this got collected, was because there was a lot of Chuck Dixon's run where he was doing crossover after crossover after crossover with the Bat books. The 90s for the Bat books are heavy in crossovers, especially following Nightfall. Like I mentioned, you got Nightfall, all that stuff. There's a 9-volume set you can go read. I did a review of all that. You've got Contagion, then you've got Legacy, then you've got Cataclysm, Road to No Man's Land, and then I think Chuck Dixon jumps off the Bat books and does some other things. He's writing Birds of Prey around the same time here as well. But this actually, for a collection of short stories, 2-parter, 3-parter, and one-and-done issues, this was a real fun read. I was surprised. Mainly, I guess, because a lot of the collections that I have are long stories or decompressed. I mean, you're talking, 18 issues or something like that, 17 issues in this book. It's 15, whatever the number is. Brent is bad at math. I think it's 15. There are a lot of little fun stories in here. And all of these little fun stories don't really amount to warranting a collection themselves because they're 2 issues or 3 issues. I don't think there's really anything longer than 3. But there are a lot of fun. And the art is fantastic. I mean, we're talking about Nolan here, guys. This is the co-creator of Bane doing the art. And he's got a lot of different inkers on here. In the overview, I was speculating because I haven't read it yet. Didn't really look through it that much. Or I did look through it, but I didn't check to make sure. But I was speculating that he has a different inker on every issue. We're almost there, not quite. What he does is he has a different inker on every story. So, like, Bill Sienkiewicz is in here doing a story with Gunhawk, which is a favorite of mine from the Night Quest days. This is like when Bruce Wayne first encounters Gunhawk, because he encountered Batman, Azrael. Batman had encountered Gunhawk in the Night Quest storyline. That's got Bill Sienkiewicz. Yeah, I think... No, it's not Bill Sienkiewicz. I'm sorry. Bill Sienkiewicz is doing... No, it is the Gunhawk storyline. Stupid me. Anyway, he's doing 3 issues in here. You've got Bob McLeod doing 3 issues in here. He was the artist on New Mutants a long time ago. You got Jim Aparo doing pencils on just 1 issue. Everything is Graham Nolan except for this 1 issue. That's Jim Aparo. It's a one-and-done storyline. Honestly, not my favorite of the bunch. You've also got other great artists in here. Looking at John Costanza. You've got a consistent colorist the entire time. It's just a really, really fun little book. And I think fun is the operative word in this time where maybe if you're yearning for the comics of yesteryear where you could get a one-and-done storyline, but you're really not into Jim Aparo art, maybe you want something a little more modern, I think this is the way you can go. I mean, there are the Caped Crusader collections or Dark Knight Detective. All those trade paperbacks are out there, and I think maybe why this got a hardcover is because it doesn't really fit in with that stuff. Now, certainly, I think it maybe doesn't deserve a hardcover for sure. If they're gonna do a softcover, maybe look to pick it up then. But again, I don't know. And since this isn't a big, well-known crossover or storyline or anything like that, it's a bunch of little stories. I don't think there might, if it didn't sell that great, there might not be a soft cover. I'm not sure how DC's doing their trade program now that they've been, kind of dissipated or whatever. They liquidated a bunch of departments. So, but this is definitely worth checking out. All the villains on here are not there. In fact, Night Out is a story in this collection, but it's not even a multi-part story. It's a one-shot where Bruce Wayne is out and about. He's on a date, and he ends up stopping some crimes in his Bruce Wayne getup, if you would, instead of as Batman. Fun thing to note in here as well is Deathstroke also appears in that Gunhawk story I was talking about, but he's not in the orange and blue. He's in some weird purple and teal costume, which I had never seen before. Yes, that is apparently Deathstroke. They call him Slade Wilson and Deathstroke in here. I'd never seen that costume before. I'm not familiar with it at all. So that was a little weird thing. And also, too, they say he's a suspected metahuman, but Batman wipes the floor with Deathstroke here. Whether you're a Batman fan or not, if you're, cool. If you're a Deathstroke fan, that's probably upsetting you because Deathstroke's supposed to be the guy that's really hard to wipe the floor with him, whereas Batman meets him and just kind of like, shrugs him off. He's not really a challenge per se, the way that he is when he shows up in Identity Crisis a few years later. So that's a little inconsistent, I think. There's also a really fun story in here with the Riddler and Clue Master. I think that was my favorite of all these. It's 3 or 4 parts, but basically it's Riddler kidnapping Clue Master and putting a suicide vest on him, like with C4 and stuff, and then making Batman and Robin drag Clue Master around Gotham City to different locations based on the clues he's given in order to distract them so that Riddler and his 2 henchwomen can go commit a different crime. So Batman and Robin are trying to... There's like a 15-minute timer or something, or 30 minutes every time they reach a new destination to get to the next one. So they're trying to do that, still keep Clue Master alive from blowing up and blowing up a city block with him, as well as at the same time they realize that there's a second thing going on. So they're also working this other angle to figure out where Riddler is and how they can stop what he's really up to, because they know it's a distraction. The other thread that pops up in here is this thread with, oh gosh, what's this guy's name? Something Finch, and he is like this amputee that has these robotic arms and stuff put on him. This is a cover to the first issue of this storyline. It's like a 2-parter here, and then it shows up at the very end as another 2-parter. I think he calls him like Gearhead or something, Gear something. I just closed the book on this, and the name was so forgettable that it was like, well, yeah, whatever. And obviously this guy never showed up again, so maybe he wasn't a really big villain. I mean, the fact that Chuck Dixon brought back Gunhawk from the Night Quest days when he was writing that Detective Comics title, or maybe it was Batman. I think it was Detective. Just shows that he's trying to bring his own villains back instead of using a whole bunch of the classics rogues that gallery. And I think that's also what's fun about this too, is that there is a little bit of the classic rogues with Riddler here. Cluemaster was kind of new at the time. He's Stephanie Brown's father, Spoiler's father. You also have a short little thing with Firefly and Martian Manhunter in the back of the collection towards the end. But everything else is just kind of, maybe it's a random crime, or it's a serial killer, or it's a robbery gone bad. It's Batman stopping all these different types of crimes, not a whole bunch of like masked Arkham Asylum lunatics. And it just shows that, hey, if Batman did operate in the real world, he could be really effective at stopping crime. He doesn't really have to only fight Man-Bat and Mr. Freeze and Penguin all the time. And I think, that's something that we've lost in modern comics today, is the ability to do these one-and-done stories. Everything now is, a 4-parter, a 6-parter, a 12-parter that's going to be collected in a trade so it can be sold later on. And everybody's hoping to create an evergreen story where you can sell and sell and sell and sell. The next Watchmen, the next Dark Knight Returns. But stories like this are just as good and just as fun. And if you can't write a one-and-done story, maybe you're not a very good comic writer at all, in my opinion. I think it's one of the coolest things about this book is to remember that, before 2003, not every comic book story was part of a 6-part event or part of a 6-part storyline that you had to pick up all 6 issues. That you could pick up one issue here, one issue there, and get a complete story. So I think that is the strongest part here about this book. So I'm really glad I picked this up. I picked it up on a whim just because I had seen it was coming out. I didn't know what it was. There wasn't a whole lot of information, and I did know, it said what was collected on there, and I was looking on Comixology, like flipping through the covers to go, what is this? Why is this being collected, especially in a hardcover? But you know what? This is really fun, and this is something that you can give to anybody to read. Hey, you want some fun Batman stories? Here you go. Check them out. You don't have to know all about Batman or the past or anything like that. You know who Batman is, you're good. You know who Robin is, you're good. You have a passing familiarity. Maybe you watched the animated series when you were growing up. You can read this, no problem. So this is probably a really good introductory reader thing to Batman, to see if you'd like to read more. And then from there, you can jump into all the modern stuff and the new stories or the crossovers, whatever. But yeah, this fits in nicely on my bookshelf. It goes right after Contagion, and I don't have the Legacy in trade paperback. I have them on my iPad, Comixology, but I do have No Man's Land and Cataclysm. So it fits in right in between Contagion, Legacy, and then right before Cataclysm. Because literally, 719, if you look at that cover, it's a prelude to Cataclysm, and it's in the updated Cataclysm trade, which I think is out of print. Really hard to find right now. But yeah, Batman Night Out. Not that bad. I really enjoyed it. So that's my recommendation for it. So let me know what you guys thought about these stories down below. Do you have a favorite? Do you really like the Gearhead one? Because I thought that was one of the weirder ones of the bunch. That's the limb guy that I was telling you about, the amputee. It's kind of gruesome. But the Graham Nolan artwork in here is a sight to behold. And it's, it's a testament to all the different inkers in here that Graham Nolan is as consistent and pushes through all these different inkers. Like his style pushes through all these different inkers. Maybe with the exception of Bill Sienkiewicz, because he's gonna Sienkiewicz, right? But everything else looks like Graham Nolan, and that is clear when you're reading this book that the penciler, if they're strong enough, will pull through whatever the inker's doing on top to embellish it. But again, this is classic books. Maybe inkers that now don't do that. I don't know. But yeah, really, really strong stuff here from Chuck Dixon, Graham Nolan. So there you go, guys. Batman Night Out. Go pick it up if you want to read some good one-and-done stories. Otherwise, click that subscribe button. Tell me down below whether you like this book or not. And we will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.